Hi folks, welcome to the cabin at Frog Hollow. Today we're continuing our series on Great Lakes fly patterns and those who developed them and tied them. Today is kind of Schmidt day, if you will. We're going to do several of my patterns and we'll get those up on our channel. We're going to start with a Michigan hex. If you were to ask a local, the guys that fly fish one time a year, they call it the giant caddis hatch. In fact, it is a giant mayfly called the Hexagenia limbata. Typically emerges anywhere from about the 10th or 12th of June on through early July. Just depends on, water temperature and muck temperature and all of those things. But this is a great guide fly. As many of you know, I guided, for 30 plus years. And this is one that is easy to tie, very durable, and stays up on the water and catches a hell of a lot of fish. So the first thing we're going to do, let me tell you about the hook. I use a 3X long, 1X strong. We don't worry about tippet size here. Lots of times we're using 1X tippets, 7.5 foot leaders. We're interested in getting the fly on the spot, on the fish's nose where he's feeding, and it's after dark, so we're not too fussy about a lot of things. So anyway, let's lay down a pad of thread the length of the hook so that as we apply materials, we've got something for those materials to grab onto. Hook shanks are slippery. I'm going to add a little extra right up here in front where we're going to add the deer tail, bucktail wing, I should say. So add a little bit of flexible penetrating head cement. Have something for these to grab onto when I put them on the hook. We're going to cut out a pretty good chunk. We can thin this out a little bit as needed. We're also going to stack this because bucktail, pretty unruly. You can see, the tips of the hair are all over the place, so we're going to put it in a stacker. Stack it up. Even up those tips somewhat. They don't have to be exact, but they come out of the stacker pretty darn good. Transfer this to your left hand if you're a right hand tire. We're going to do the length of the hook shank for wing length. There we go. We're going to set that right on that spot where I applied that flexible head cement. And we're going to bind that down good, 3 or 4 wraps. We're going to partially post this right now to lock that material in. Build a little thread dam right in front. As you can see, that brings that wing up. We're now going to go back and snip the butts out, which we can do without them pulling out of there. And now we're going to separate. I'm going to split this wing material 50-50. One wrap through, another wrap through in the other direction just to split them. I'm going to do that one more time. And now this is something that I do is I post around the base of that wing to bring all that material together. I'm going to show you what that looks like, one side posted and one side not posted. Big difference. So jump over here, we're going to post this side. All it takes is a couple wraps and an extra second to get that posting done. And that's what it looks like when it's finished. A clean, nice, clean wing. Now, the unique part for me is this. I take 3 sprigs of glow-in-the-dark Flashabou. And this material, when charged with any kind of flashlight, will give you a few minutes of visibility where there is no light. And all of you know this is done after dark. So I'm putting that right on top of the wing. I'm going to show that to you. I'm going to tip this back. Those 3 sprigs are right on top of each wing. And I'm just going to clip that out. You don't see it. Clip it out of there. That's what it looks like. It's like, hey, it's not even there. Okay, that's set. I'm going to add just a touch more glue. I'm a big flexible glue guy when it comes to these hair wings. We don't want them going anywhere. And let's head back and put in the bucktail tail. Same thing. Just snip out, you know, not obviously not quite as much. It can be white, it can be tan. I like white. Again, visibility is important to me. I'm going to stack that. Pretty good stack job. Length of the body, we're there. Once around loose, twice tighten. Looks pretty good. And now I'm going to head up and I'm going to cut this out right at the base of where those wing butts were so that we get a nice uniform flat body. And that's what that looks like right there right now. I'm happy with that. And we're going to go back and we're going to set a little micro barb saddle hackle, and this gets palmered over top of the deer hair body. Just add some additional flotation. So a long micro barb saddle hackle that goes right there. And now we're going to go put the body on. The body I use is bleached ginger deer hair. Hex bugs can be anything from, quite honestly, a muddy olive to, you know, almost a creamy white. And this suits me just fine as kind of an in-between. Typically these bugs, you know, they come out of dark muck. So they have a pretty light underbelly like this, and across the back they're dark. Well, you know what? We don't care. The fish is not going to see across the back. So we're going to stack this because we're going to tie this in, you know, the Roberts style. And I'll show you what that is here in a second. So we're going to stack that. That come out pretty good. Looks about like the right amount. I'm going to say half the size of a pencil or something like that. Now we want these tips of the deer body hair to extend just beyond our thread there. So that looks about right to me. So I'm going to snip all of these butts off right there. And we're going to tie that in. I'm going to do one wrap loose and I'm going to push down on this hair. You see how that popped around the bottom of the hook? That's what we're looking for. You want that hair to completely encompass the hook. 2 or 3 wraps around. I'm going to flare it to tie it in. Now we're going to do what I would refer to as the Roberts wrap. Going right back to the bend of the hook. You can see the tips of this body hair just off the bend of the hook. Now I'm going to flare it right there. You can see the flare. That's what we're looking for right there. One wrap with the flare. Come up and make X's right across the back. And I'll show you what those X's look like here in a second. And there's the X's right across the back. I want you also to notice that the hair completely encircles the hook. That's pretty easy to do, you know, if you do that technique right off the bat. I'm going to snip some of these butts out just to clean this up a little bit. I'm taking more time than I should here, but, you know, this is a guide fly, so, you know, we're not too fussy, but, you know, we like stuff to be right. So here comes the micro barb saddle across the back. Add some additional flotation. Bring that right into those butts. That's what that looks like. Snip that out. Looks pretty good. Now we're going to select a couple hackles. You know, big hackle for big flies are really difficult to come by. I'm using one very large barbed off from a jungle, or not a jungle cock, but a Indian gamecock neck. And then I'm going to select the longest saddle that I can find on this saddle hackle. Typically about a size 8 is about as, and I pretty well picked that through. I've got another neck here. Let me grab another neck. Yeah, this one looks better. About a size 8 is the best we can get. So we're going to go in and strip out this webby stuff on the base. We want nice crisp hackles. So there's the saddle. And what did I do with that other one? I must have dropped it. So let's get another one out here. There we go. These are not as readily available as they once were, for sure. So we're going to match those two up. Get those tied in behind the wing. Come up in front, grab the hackle stem. Move to the eye, because that's where we're going to end our business. You got it. A little flexible cement. That grabs onto that hackle stem as we're palmer wrapping it forward, and it isn't going anywhere, and it just helps it stay in place. So here's the short, long, barbed, that didn't make any sense, did it? The short hackle with the long barbels, how's that? So a couple wraps behind the wing, and the balance up front. And we're going to use every bit of this hackle. This is a heavily hackled fly. We're looking for durability and flotation. Most of you know, sometimes if you take the time to change a fly because it fell apart, guess what? Sometimes the hatch is about over. So we're just going to take this saddle hackle now, which has very stiff barbels, and work that through. We've got lots of it, as you can see. Work it into and around those long hackles. This also adds support for those long, softer hackles. But this is very heavily hackled fly. A couple times around, we're going to snip this out. We're about done. A little long in tooth here on this fly, but you know, how many of these do you need, really? If you go through 2 flies a night, you've had a damn good night. As a lot of you know, there's a lot of sitting on the bank smoking a cigar, fighting off mosquitoes, waiting for the bugs to come down. 3 or 4 wraps tighten, snip, add just a spot. I'm not going to use the brush here because the brush clogs the eye of the fly. That's an issue after dark, of course. Stays out of the eye. Now there's one more thing that you can do for yourself. This fly is done, but one more thing that you can do for yourself is, this is not a showcase fly, this is a working fly. So you can see these hackles are, they're about a 3/16 of an inch below the bend of the hook. I like to trim that off, and I'll tell you why. The flat, blunt ends make this fly sit on the water beautifully. And there it is. You know, night fly, guide fly, hex fly 101. Gotta love it, and enjoy. Thanks for watching, and tune in for some more Michigan and Great Lakes fly patterns on our YouTube channel.